Hi, it's Paulie here. So, a little brief update on the city-state of the Invincible Overlord, Goodman Games debacle, really. So, Goodman Games have released some statements all about the whole thing, and a kind of a nest of statements and then secondary statements and yet more statements. They didn't get the point. They didn't understand why people were upset. They seemed to be going on about things that no one had asked about. So, to reel back 10 years ago, Judges Guild, under the leadership of the incredibly toxic current owner, the son of the original owner, so Bob Bledsoe Jr., they ran a Kickstarter to do a new version of City State of the Invincible Overlord. And they ripped everyone off. They raised $85,000 over 10 years, have never done a single stick of work towards actually delivering it. They stole everyone's money. Some years later they announced that, if anyone contacts them directly, they'll pay them back. Mind you, they didn't contact backers to say, we will pay you back. They've just sort of now said, if anyone contacts us, we'll pay you back. But that might take a while because the money went elsewhere. In other words, they went off and they spent it on hats. In no way was this money put aside into account for the project at all. Let's be very clear. Judges Guild owes those people their money back. Goodman Games have released a statement to say that all the royalties that would go to Judges Guild for this are still going to Judges Guild, but they're being put in an escrow account, which is to be used only to pay back the people who are still owed a refund for the failed Kickstarter Judges Guild ran 10 years ago. Alright, so thing one, this is noble from Goodman Games, I will say. It is also Byzantine, convoluted and downright puzzling. Goodman Games does not owe any of those backers of the previous city-state campaign a cent. This was entirely Judges Guild's mess, and they're not fixing any of it. So, someone's coming in to pay off a debt that Bob Bledsoe owes. I don't care where he put the money, but he took that money and he spent it elsewhere. He blew it all on hats. He owes them that money back from his own money, one way or another, wherever it comes from. But he's not going to do that, and has shown no impulse really to do that. So, by taking the royalties from this other project and using them to pay off their debts, okay, Judges Guild doesn't get any direct use from that, and it may not help their platforming, if you remember that little 3-piece test in the ethics video that I just did. But it is still going to them in a left-handed way because it's covering their debt. They will never have to reach their hand into their own pocket to pay back the debt that they actually physically owe. So, by a couple of steps sideways and a few little twirls, we are still putting hands into Bledsoe's, money into Bledsoe's little hands. So, they've gone to an enormous amount of trouble to pay back someone else's debt, somehow thinking this was the problem, which it isn't. I love the city-state of the Invincible Overlord, as I told you. It's my nostalgia blast. But it exists in PDFs. It exists in printable copies if you need to get it. It's not a property that's vanished. The new one, by the way, won't be a nostalgia blast because they're rewriting the entire thing for 5th edition, which means that instead of doing what it needed, which was some extra adventures in the setting and more detail on locations, it's just going to be, tacking 5th ed style superpowers to things and giving you the occasional battle map, that thing that you're not going to be doing in the middle of the city. So, this is your own personal call. It's going to depend on how it makes you feel. For me, this is going to be a no. There's still a weird dodgy air about, money flying sideways to cover Bledsoe's debts. The project is kind of not going to be the thing I loved. It's going to be essentially dancing on its sticky bones to make something for 5th ed, which is, you know, not really my cup of tea, but also not really playable for me who wants something for doing, you know, the old original. Yeah. Look, bless Goodman Games for doing what they think is a good deed. I'm not sure why they're so fixated on bringing this back. I know it's a property they were talking about years ago, and so they feel they're somehow committed to it in the pipeline. This could have been, they could have skipped this. They have their own original material, their own original setting, their own games. It's odd, it's very odd. Anyway, Petals, that's just my thoughts on it. By all means, back the campaign if you want to. Like I said, that money's not going directly into anyone evil's hands. It's just going to pay off some of their debts in a weird way with escrow accounts and so on, because clearly these guys aren't trustworthy, so they're going to enormous legal lengths to make sure that this is done. Alright, anyway, as you can see, it is a sunset in Perth autumn, so Midrift's still out. It is coming up to evening. Time to go for a wander. I'll go get Mr. Snoots and go for a wander. Anyway, look after yourselves and keep gaming.